This is the lecture second in our course about open source best practices. We discuss how we programmers can succeed in the area of open source. On the previous lecture, we discussed the problems and the challenges which programmers face when they go to open source territory, how difficult it is for most of us, how high is the complexity of integration with the community of open source developers, which are not always welcoming all the newcomers and not always appreciating the contribution which you're trying to make to them. However, we do want to participate in open source, as we agreed on the previous lecture, because this is the way to boost our profiles and to demonstrate to our employers and our colleagues and the whole world who we are. That's the best way to make more money on the market, is through being an open source developer and demonstrating your work to others and contributing to other projects and building your profile on GitHub through the contribution to other projects. One of the possible ways to contribute to a project is by reporting bugs. Not only to the projects which are developed by other programmers, but also to the projects which are developed by your team. Everywhere you work, you will submit bug reports, you will contribute with the information about what's going wrong in the project and what needs to be fixed. And this is a contribution. In this lecture, I will try to convince you that this is a valuable contribution to any project. Let's start with a simple explanation, a simple suggestion, a simple recommendation about bug reporting, what needs to be done in the area of bug reporting in order to be a successful bug reporter. And we do want to be successful reporters of bug. We want our bugs to be accepted by the teams. We want them to be taken into account. We want them to be fixed. If you report a bug and then the bug gets fixed, then you definitely can consider yourself as a contributor to the project. If you submit a bug and the bug gets ignored or rejected, then definitely it's a failure for you as a bug reporter, because you spent some time, you invested some time into explaining your bug report, into finding the problem or the bug, and then into waiting for the answer from the team. You don't want this to be wasted. We want bug reports to be accepted. This is the final result of everything we're going to discuss in this lecture. You want your bugs to be taken into account. If they are taken into account, you are a good developer, an effective developer. Maybe you are a bad developer at the same time, but when you submit bugs, you become effective developer. So first recommendation, and that's probably a good summary of what needs to be done. It's coming from Joel Spolsky. You probably know this guy. He is a co-founder of Stack Overflow, and he is one of the first IT bloggers on this planet. So he was one of the first people who started to write blog posts about software engineering, about programming, not books, not conference papers, not scientific articles, not industry papers or articles, but blogs. And that's how he became famous, and then he founded Stack Overflow. It's a very interesting and motivating story for many of us. So he's saying every good bug report means three things. First of all, you need to explain the steps to reproduce the problem. You have to say how the person who reads your bug can reproduce the problem. So the person who will read your bug report wants to open the laptop and hit the same problem as you did on your laptop. So it's not enough for you to say in the bug report that it doesn't work for me. I don't know how it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. And I don't know what I did to make it not working. And I don't know how to do it again. I just tell you, and you have to trust me, that it doesn't work. This is not a good way to report a bug. You have to say what needs to be done step by step. So for example, you prepare this file as an input data, and then you send this file to the application through this interface. And then you click this button, and then you click that button. And then you see an error. And these steps will be reproduced by the person who will deal with the bug. Second, you have to say what you expect to see. What's the outcome of these steps? You open the application, you upload the file, you click the button, you click another button, and then you say, I expect to see a picture of a cat because I just uploaded a picture of a dog, and I'm expecting your application to turn a dog into a cat. So you say, I expect a cat. I expect a picture of a cat. And finally, step number 3, you say, what do you see? Why do you think it's a bug? Because you see, I don't see a cat, I see a Santa Claus. And the Santa Claus is not a cat. So I believe it's a bug. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a feature. Maybe the developers of the application, they expect to show you not a cat, but something else. It's up to them to decide whether it's a bug or not. You just explain that the expectations you have were not satisfied by the behavior of the application. 3 steps: how to reproduce, what do you expect to find out, what do you expect to get, and what do you really get. It's just introductions, because as you remember, in every lecture I give you recommendations, I give you suggestions, and in this lecture I will give you 9 practical suggestions, and all of them will be not very traditional. It's kind of opinionated course, so be prepared for something which you normally don't see in the books. But before we go there, I'm showing you a standard, classic opinions about bug reporting. Another opinion coming from a scientific paper published on a quite famous conference in 2008. They say that, according to their analysis, they say that bug reports which are properly written or well written, they get more attention from developers comparing to poorly written bug reports. Remember, we want to get the attention. We want our bugs to be considered, so we want to write them better. It's important to make your bugs sound like good stories. You're gonna say there everything you can. Write it as a story, like write it as a Facebook post, as an Instagram post, to attract your friends, to attract attention. And how exactly to do that, we're gonna discuss later. And they say, look, steps to reproduce and stack traces are the most useful in bug reports. So according to the study, they asked programmers, and programmers confirmed that. We want to see stack traces. We want to see steps to reproduce. We want to know how to deal with this bug. We don't want to investigate too much. We don't want to improvise. We don't want to guess how exactly you got into that problem. We want to see exactly the steps, and then we want to see the stack trace. You know what is stack trace? We want to see the full report of an error which happens on your computer. And look, the most severe problems encountered by developers are errors in steps to reproduce, incomplete information, and wrong observed behavior. 3 elements. Remember, it was said long before, and now it's confirmed scientifically through the research, through the study of the opinions of programmers. Programmers say we want good bug reports. And one more paper, 2016. The elements considered to be harder to provide are the entity, like what is the thing which doesn't work, the steps to reproduce, and the test case showing the defect. Again and again and again, people telling us that it's important, but we fail. Programmers fail in this area. They just don't explain the steps and don't show the exact stack trace. Don't be like that. Be a good bug reporter. Explain how the bug should be reproduced. Just say what needs to be done by another person in order to see the same problem you saw. And now we're getting to my recommendations, which I have 9 for you, one after another. That was the classic theory, which absolutely we agree with. It's definitely true what these people are saying. We need to be very details oriented You need to write as much as possible about the steps and the error and the expected results. Recommendation number 1, expect any program to have an unlimited number of bugs. This is what many programmers have a misunderstanding about. Many people believe that a program has certain amount of defects, and when these defects or bugs are fixed, the program is good. The program doesn't have bugs. This is a mistake. This is not what really is happening. Any program has, well, as long as this program has some certain size, it's not a 5 lines of code, it's at least 1,000 lines of code. So if the program has a decent size, this program has unlimited number of bugs. Physically, theoretically, unlimited. The more you test it, the more bugs you can report. That's the axiom, that's the fundamental principle which you have to get into your head before we continue any further. If you believe that there is a limited number of bugs, then you will think that at some point of time you can stop reporting them. You can stop reporting bugs because this program looks like it's stable, looks like it's good enough, it's a decent program, it doesn't have bugs, so probably it's not necessary to report it, or maybe you're gonna hurt somebody if you report a bug. Maybe you're gonna cause any trouble if you report a bug for a program which already is stable. No, it's not gonna happen. Don't think like that. The more bugs you report, the better you make the code, the better you make the program. Every project, every program, they need your bugs to be reported. Take them as a positive contribution you make to the project. You contribute to them, you help them understand their code better. It's not that you're showing them something negative. It's not that you are demonstrating them that they are bad programmers. Definitely not. When you report a bug, you just open a little bit wider the window which allows them to see what's going on in their code. And like I said, the amount of bugs is unlimited. So you can open this window more and more and more, and there is no point where you should stop. And it's not just me saying, even though it may sound like a counterintuitive philosophy, we learn from our management, we learn from our employers that good software doesn't have bugs. We should unlearn this idea. Look at this. That was a very good book. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to find the photograph of the author, while the book is really great. The book says, we can never be certain that a testing system is correct. This theoretical limit tells us that there will never be a way to be sure we have a perfect understanding of what a program is supposed to do. In short, we cannot achieve 100% confidence no matter how much time and energy we put into it. Which literally means we can never guarantee that all bugs are found. Never. We can be 100% sure that the program does what we want it to do. That's it. And if you understand that, you will change your perception, change your attitude towards bugs. You will start taking them as valuable elements of the project as the lines of code. You'll write a line of code or you write a bug. It's almost the same, or even maybe the bug is more valuable contribution than the line of code. The project can be perfect when it has certain amount of lines of code, certain amount of functionality, certain amount of Java classes, and certain amount of bugs reported. Without the bugs reported, it's incomplete project. Because we didn't even try, if there are no bugs reported, we didn't even try to check whether we're confident that the project does what it's supposed to do. We must make an attempt to find out how confident we are. And that's the only way is testing, is finding bugs. Another quote from another book also a very good book, a great book about testing, which you definitely have to read. It's called The Art of Software Testing. This is the book where I found out this idea that there is unlimited amount of bugs and we need to find as many of them as possible, but we should never stop. We should continue testing, continue reporting, continue and continue. They say you cannot test a program to guarantee that it's error-free. It's impractical, often impossible, to find all the errors in a program. Impossible. Theoretically, practically, no way. So when somebody tells you that my program has no bugs, what do we understand? That this program, this software developer, this programmer just doesn't understand what is software testing, what is software development. And if somebody tells you that we don't have too many bugs in our bug tracking system, and that's great, that means our software is good, you tell them no, it means your testing is bad. It's not that your software is good, it's your testing is poor if you have small amount of bugs reported. The more bugs you have reported, the better is your testing team, the better is your discipline in the software team, the better is the quality of your management, whatever. But the number of bugs reported tells us nothing, according to this, tells us nothing about the actual quality of the software. It only tells us about the quality of testing. So keep it in your head that bugs are a good thing. We need bugs. We need them to be reported. We love those people who report bugs. These are the valuable contributors to the code, the valuable contributors to our projects. We love them. Without them, we would be in a big trouble. Recommendation number 2. Don't ask questions or suggest features. Report bugs instead. You know there's a difference between the bug and the feature and the question. Some people believe that there is a difference. I believe there is no difference. I believe there's all of that must be called bugs. And if you separate them, if you consider something as a feature and consider something as a bug and something as a question, then you will treat them differently. You will try to probably get rid of the bugs and you will welcome features and you will prioritize them differently. In the end, it's going to be chaos because there is no real difference. Think about it this way. When you have a piece of code and you run this code on your laptop and you expect a cat to be shown there, but you see something else, you say it's a bug. Because you expected a cat to show up and it doesn't show you, it's a bug. What if you run the code and you click the button and it doesn't show you anything, but the programmers didn't want to show you the cat. They just show you a dog. But you say, I want a cat, so please give me the feature which will show me the cat. And then you say it's a feature because I want it to work different. And then another situation, you just start the application and you don't know where to click to get the picture of a cat. So you go to the team and you say, I don't have a bug, I don't have a feature request, I have a question for you. How do I get the photograph of a cat? So it's a question, the category number 3. I believe all of these 3 is just a bug. You just don't like the software you have. You just cannot use it the way you expect it to be used. And that's it. Why? Either because the functionality is broken, something inside is showing you the error, or because the programmers are broken, because they didn't think through. They didn't consider that as a possible request. And that's why you don't see the picture of a cat. So what is broken? I don't know, something. Something in the requirements, something in the brains of that programmer, whatever. But it's broken, so I can't use that. Or the situation number 3, the question. Again, something is broken in the documentation because it doesn't tell me what to click. Maybe it's inconvenient even to use the application. So I'm trying to click all the different buttons, but I don't get the picture of a cat. Question, feature request, bug, whatever. It's just imperfection. the software is imperfect. Why it's imperfect? Either the documentation, the blah, 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 whatever. It's just imperfect. So we call it bugs. And not only the questions, not only the feature requests, anything. For example, just a small list of things which I published a few years ago in the blog post. So for example, lack of functionality, we just discussed. I'm trying to click, but it doesn't work because there is no such functionality. Some people call it feature request, but we call it bug. Lack of tests. You open the code base, you look at the Java classes, and you're trying to find the unit tests. And you cannot find the unit test. It's a bug. You just report it. You just say, there is no test for the Java class. You report a bug. It's very legal. I'm saying very legal. Indeed, it's very legal type of bug. Lack of documentation. Any file you open, any class, any piece of code, you just read through and you say, I can't understand what's there. I don't understand what you did here. So please explain to me. It's a bug. You report it. Suboptimal implementation. You look at the code and you say, I don't like how it's implemented. This algorithm is broken, or this method is too long, or this method is too complicated. Rewrite it. That's a bug. You don't like what you see, it's a bug. Anything you don't like is a bug. Design inconsistency. I don't understand why you'd use MySQL database. I don't understand why do you use Kafka. Just what about something else? That's a bug. Maybe the bug will not be resolved. Maybe they will not change the architecture for you because you're saying Kafka is not good. It's possible that they will not jump immediately into re-implementation of the system. Maybe they will consider it later, maybe next year, or maybe they will write down in the documentation why Kafka is used. They will write a proper explanation to you so that you will become happy enough and do not consider it design inconsistency. So if you think that Kafka is used, maybe you don't see the full picture. If you don't like our design decision, maybe you don't understand why we use Kafka. We will tell you that. We will create a special file which will be called why we use Kafka.txt. And that's going to be our answer to your bug. You reported a problem that design decision is not clear for you. Fair enough. We create an explanation, we call it a day, we close your bug report. That's a proper answer. We improve the code by answering your bug, not question, by answering your bug. Naming is weird. You open up a class and you don't like the name of the variable. You say it's a bug. Or maybe unstable test. So you run the unit test, it doesn't go, it's again a bug. Whatever you don't like is a bug. Actually, Mozilla team thinks like I think. Look at this paper, it's quite old, 20 years old, but still. They say, even though the bug is a pejorative connotation, negative connotation, in Mozilla project, bug is used to refer to any field request for modification in the software. Is it either it's an actual defect, an enhancement, change in functionality. And they even call it bug-driven development. I like this name. Bug-driven development. So whatever is coming in, it's a bug. Question, feature request, whatever. Exactly like I just explained to you. So that's my understanding. Mozilla believes the same. However, some people believe in a different approach. For example, there is a research just 10 years ago. They examined 7,000 issue reports from 5 open source projects, and they found out that 33% of all bug reports were misclassified, threatening bug prediction, confusing bugs and features. So you see, these researchers, in my opinion, confuse the classification principle of bugs and features. In my world, there's nothing to classify. All of that are bugs. But they decided that there should be a classification on bugs and features, so they separated and they say, on average, 39% of files marked as defective actually never had a bug. So what it means, somebody opens up some file and they say, I think this file has a bug because of this and that, and I have some symptoms for that. And then somebody tries to fix that bug and they find out that maybe it never has a bug, or maybe what I just reported is actually a feature. So maybe it was never intended to work like that. So now it will, because the team will consider my bug as a feature request. Call it any way you want, but my opinion is that you should see all the bugs as the same category of changes coming to your project. And that not only means that you should consider them that way, consider and understand the bugs coming from other people, but think about your behavior. If you believe, this is the first recommendation, that any project loves bugs and encourages you to send more and more and more and values your contributions through bugs, and at the same time you believe that anything you don't like in the code is a bug, so you will understand that you should stop, for example, talking and discussing the code base with your colleagues in your team. If you open up a code and you see that something you don't understand, you don't know how it works, you don't know how this piece of code works, or you don't know what this class is for, what do you do? What do you do now? You ask your friend, right, who is sitting next to you, you say, hey, can you explain this to me? Because I want to understand how it works. And they come to your desk, they sit next to you, and they show you what it is, they explain, they teach you, so that you learn, you know more about that. That's the behavior I strongly discourage you to express. I encourage you to do different. I suggest you see some problem, you see that something is wrong, something you don't understand. You see that you cannot understand why this code works like this. You don't understand who wrote this and for what reason. You have many questions. You don't ask people. What do? You submit a bug. You make a bug and say, it's a bug in the documentation, it's a bug in your code, it's a bug in your method, it's a bug in your Java doc block. All of these are bugs, and we will have many of them in the backlog. That's great. What the team will do, the team will open them up, they will see that somebody is complaining about the quality of the documentation. What it means? It means that if we fix the documentation now, tomorrow, nobody will complain about that piece. So everybody will benefit from that. Not only the particular person who got the answer to the question, but everybody in the project for years. When you don't know something, you call help and they come to your desk, they explain to you who gets better, who improves, who gets happier. You, only you. The project, no. The project remains stupid. The project remains unhappy. The project remains broken. If you quit your job, you go to another project, another programmer comes in, the same question will show up. How does it work? What's going to happen again? Again, the learning cycle. Again, asking questions. Again, asking help. We don't want that. We want the project to become better on every concern we're getting from a programmer who joins it. A new programmer comes in, new concerns, we fix them, not by teaching the programmer, definitely not. We don't do that. We don't want to help the programmer. We want to help the project. And that's a very important distinction you have to make. We don't become smarter, we don't learn the code. When you join the project and open a class, if you cannot understand what the class does in 10 minutes, you don't continue to study. You don't consider yourself as a stupid person. No, you blame the project. You say, the project is broken. It's supposed to be clear for me in 10 minutes, but it's not. Fix it. You demand the team to fix that for you. But never blame yourself. Never blame yourself for not understanding what's going on. It's not your fault at all. It's their fault. They didn't make the code clear enough. The architecture is absolutely self-explainable. They failed to do that. What do? You report a bug. You complain about that. That way, you help them. That way, you make the product better. by making bugs and encouraging the team to fixing them. It may sound, well, for me it sounds quite obvious, but I believe that there are people in the room who think differently. So try to change your perception of this philosophy. Next recommendation: reward yourself for each reported bug. It's like a continuation of the previous principle, but think this way. When you report a bug, you should virtually or physically somehow reward yourself or the people who do that with some kind of a bonus. Like it may be financial, like you pay people for that, for reporting bugs. That would be ideal. If you can do that in your project, that would be the perfect. You will get a lot of interested people who will test your code, who will try to break your code, and they will report bugs, thus increasing the quality of the code. But even if you don't have this ability to actually get money for the reports or pay money for the reports, think of this think of somehow some mechanism of rewarding. And I quote here a blog post which I wrote some time ago. In this blog post I'm saying, when you are joining a team and you are a new programmer and you join a project and they tell you, okay, go ahead, you're with us, start working. What happens usually? Usually people say, well, I need 2-3 months to understand what's going on here. So don't expect from me too much contribution. I don't know how to write code here. I'm gonna probably study how the code is organized. That's what I'm gonna do. That's my job for the first 2-3 months. I'm not buying this. I'm saying you start contributing today, the day you entered the office, the day we gave you permissions. And you contribute in 2 ways. The first way, you write a pull request. So you change the code and introduce a fix. You introduce a feature, a fix, some functionality. Maybe it's going to be a fix of a broken functionality or a new functionality. As we agreed before, it doesn't matter. You just contribute with the code changes. Or another possibility is the bug. If you look at the code and you know how to make the changes, if you understand how to make a pull request, then make it. That's clear. If you just joined the project, instead of waiting 3 months and finding out how the code is organized, you make bug reports. You open the code, 10 minutes, you're trying to make a pull request because this is your first working day, and you cannot do that. Why? Well, because something is not obvious for you. If it's not obvious for you in 10 minutes, what do? We report a bug. So you either make a pull request with the changes, or you make a bug with a report that something is not clear for you, that something blocks you from reporting a pull request. Either this or that. If you don't do any of that, what do? You're just lazy. Probably we're going to get rid of you, or we're not going to pay you. That's the principle. So if you cannot do pull request and at the same time you don't do a bug report, then there's no excuse for you. It means you're doing nothing. So keep it in mind. This is what I'm talking here about. So keep in mind this principle. If today, by the end of the working day, your contribution is 0 bug reports and 0 pull requests, 0 money on your bank account. That would be the ideal world, the ideal organization of the work of programmers. But unfortunately, it's not done this way in most organizations. But for yourself, keep this principle in mind, that this is how it should be. You should go in either of these directions, pull request or bug report. Recommendation 4. Well, that's a pain. This recommendation is a big pain for us programmers when we receive bug reports. People, even professional programmers, even very mature programmers who have 15 years of experience, they make this mistake. They open the bug report and they treat this bug report as a conversation channel, as a discussion panel. So they open a ticket, and in the ticket they say, well, I'm running the program, and first, it doesn't start very fast. Second, it leaves some temporary files not deleted. And third, it doesn't print the picture of the cat. And by the way, it would be nice if you change the name of your application, because it doesn't sound right now. That's a very typical way of reporting bugs. Just put all the problems in one report, submit it, and let the team do whatever they want with that. This is not how you get your bug fixed, because it's very unstructured, unorganized, and very inconvenient way of making bug reports. I'm trying to think how to explain you why it's that's the wrong way. Well, there are a number of reasons. So probably reason number one is that it's difficult to see what is the exit criteria from this bug. Meaning, how do we know that the problem is solved so that we can close your bug report? Let's say I fixed the problem with the picture of a cat. Now you can see it, but I didn't rename the application. So is it 70% completeness of the bug? So what do I do with the ticket? The ticket is still assigned on me. I'm the developer. And this ticket number 42 staying in my inbox, in my list of tasks which are assigned to me. So what should I do with it? Should I take new tasks and this one goes on the background? Because I'm not gonna change the name of the application. I'm only gonna fix the picture of the cat. Now it works. But the name of the application, we're not gonna change. We just decided not to do it. But maybe in the future, we will consider doing that. So what to do with this ticket? Close or keep it open? It's inconvenient to make the backlog full of such reports. It's much better to have four separate bug reports, 4 separate tickets, 4 separate IDs of these tickets. And on each ID, we assign an implementer, a resolver who will fix that bug. And then if the bug is fixed, we just close it. If the bug is not fixed, we don't close. You know, there is a rule in management. It's called 0-100 rule. That means that whatever we work with, every job has to be either not complete at all or 100% complete. And that's how you should also treat the jobs which are assigned to you, the tickets and the bugs. If you assign a task for somebody, and when you report a bug, you basically assign a task for somebody. So when you do that, expect that person to either come back to you and say, I'm done, I'm finished, done, or come back to you and say, no, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna try it, I failed, whatever, but it's not done, it's 0. But never anything in the middle. So when somebody reports to you that this bug is 50% fixed, it only means one thing. It was a bad bug report. It was a broken report. The report consisted of a composite structure of a bug. It was a combination of bugs inside. And that's why the report there, that response from the resolver sounds like I'm 65% complete. 65% complete is absolutely unmanageable situation. We completely must avoid that and even not consider people who say that as professional software experts, because when they say so, they must understand that this is very misleading information. It's very hard to digest information, hard to understand what exactly it means, 65% complete. So the rule is 0-100. And in order to help the team to follow this rule, you should report bugs as a single piece of work, as a single problem. You know, in GitHub, there is a possibility that you can report a bug, and then inside the description of the bug, you can put checkboxes, and then here you explain, okay, I don't see the cat, and then here I want to rename your application, and here I want to improve the logs. And then this is the ticket number 42. And then this ticket is assigned to me, and I'm doing, okay, this is done. The cat, you can see that. The name, I'm not gonna change it, so I don't know what to do with that. And the logs, well, it's okay, I've done it. But this one is not gonna be converted to the ticket number 43, most probably. But it should stay separately, so that we can continue tracking that task, maybe discussing there, maybe convincing the team that rename is actually valuable. In this case, we're probably going to close the ticket 42 as 66% complete and forget about the renaming. Instead, there should be ticket 42, 43, and 44. And then there are separate jobs, separate people working there, separate situations, closed and not closed. So there's a question coming from you. So if we have some big bug, it should be composed to maximally, should be decomposed to as many small ones as possible. Definitely true. Yes, you should decompose. If somebody reports a bug for you like this, I suggest not even start working on that. You should start decomposing it and saying, hey, there's 3 bugs in there. So please take some effort, take some time, and create 3 separate tickets. Because most probably people do it because they're lazy. In most cases. Sometimes they believe they're very smart and they do it this way. But most people do it because they're just lazy, they just don't want to create different tickets, they just put everything together and just drop it on the team and say, do whatever, just solve them all. I'm not here to report 3 tickets. I have more important things to do. Just solve everything together. And of course, in this case, your bug will not be considered as effectively, as fast as other bugs, which are reported by other bug reporters. So that's an extremely important rule. 1 bug equals 1 problem you see. 1 bug, even if you think that the problems are related. For example, you say, when I click the button, I don't see the picture of the cat. And by the way, when I click another button, I don't see the picture of the dog. So it looks like 2 bugs because they're 2 different buttons, but you feel as a programmer that these bugs are somehow related because something is broken inside the application, which most probably stays in the same block of code. Don't do it. Don't listen to this temptation. Just report 2 separate bugs. The team later will decide maybe these bugs are connected and they will connect them. They will build this link between them and they will call them as related bugs. But that's a separate topic. That's for them. We're going to discuss it later on another lecture, where we will discuss how to deal with the bugs, how to resolve them. Now we're talking about reporting bugs. And when you report them, you only think about 1 criteria, how to make sure your bug will be fixed. That's the only criteria for your success. If you report 100 bugs and 70 of them got closed as a fixed, as thank you very much for your report, we actually agree that this is a bug and we fixed that, or it's a feature, or there's an answer to your question, whatever, but closed successfully, not negatively, then this is your rate of success as a bug reporter. Ideally, it should be 100 reports, 100 success closures of the bug. But some of them, they will not be closed. Some of them, they will stay open for a very long time. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I have projects where bugs stay for 8 years, for 9 years, in my personal projects. So people come to me with bug reports and I don't answer them. Why? For a number of reasons. Sometimes I don't understand what they're talking about. Sometimes they report some very generic question, like something doesn't work and I have no time to investigate what, just fix it, whatever. So the bug stays open for 8 years. Is it good? It's definitely not good. Who is guilty? Them. It's their fault, first of all. Of course, it's my fault as well, because I don't have enough time to investigate deeper, to actually deal with these bugs. I can't do that, of course. If I would be 100% dedicated to these projects, I would definitely spend time and find out what exactly the bugs are about, what they're talking about, and so on and so forth. But I don't do that because I don't have time. But the primary guilty person there is them. They made bad bug reports. And the biggest problem I see usually is actually the lack of this correlation, the lack of this the misbalance. Usually there are 2 problems or 3 problems and just 1 bug report. Okay? And look at this. That's interesting definition of roles I found in this paper. I didn't know that they are called this way. And what's interesting for me, and this name, I don't know how many of you actually have heard this name, but apparently in scientific literature, they call the process of dispatching the bugs, of deciding which bugs should be fixed and which bugs should not be fixed, they call it triaging. Triaging, sorry, this is R, T-R. This is the name, triaging. I think I pronounced it correctly. So they say, look, people play different roles, blah, blah, blah. The person who submits the report is the reporter or the submitter. That's you now in this lecture. You submit the bug. The triager is the person who decides if the report is meaningful and who assigns this person, assigns responsibility of the report to a developer. The one that resolves the report is the resolver. A person that contributes to fix for a bug is called a contributor. I don't see what's the difference between a resolver and contributor. Maybe you can tell me, but so far I don't understand. Now what's important is this triager. This guy is looking at the code and looking at the bug, and decides, first of all, whether it's a properly reported bug. Maybe it's a duplicate. Maybe something else was reported a few days ago, maybe a few months ago. Then this bug has to be closed as a duplicate. Another concern maybe that the bug doesn't have the steps to reproduce. In this case, we should, instead of giving this bug to the development team, we should ask the reporter, could you please provide more details about the steps to reproduce? Or maybe the bug doesn't contain the expected result, like we discussed before. In this case, again, we kind of postpone the resolving of this bug. We ask the submitter to provide more information. So all of this apparently is done by triaging, I think it's triaging. Triager is the person who does it. That's interesting name. And in the same paper, which is about Mozilla, who should fix the bug, they are saying that, I don't put the quote here, but they are saying that 300 bugs are coming every day to Mozilla repository. At that time, that was 2006. 300 every day coming to the repository. So imagine how important is the job of this triager, of this person who decides what to do with that. And definitely just programmers cannot deal with that. They cannot resolve so many bugs, while the majority of them, most probably, are not really properly well-written, well-explained bug reports. Some of them are just spam, some of them are duplicates, some of them something else. So if one day you join a larger team where there are many programmers and many bugs are coming in, you may suggest to have this triager role who will dispatch the bugs. So your job should be not to hit this triaging process and not to be rejected by it. You have to go through it. In order to do that, make your bugs focused on one problem. Recommendation number 5, exaggerate for effect. I'm saying here that when you report a bug, try to be as negative, as dramatic about the problem at hand. If, for example, you click the button and you don't see the picture of the cat, don't say it, I click the button, I expect the cat, I don't see the cat. That's it. That's a very neutral, very professional, but very neutral bug report, which most probably is not going to be fixed as fast as you would expect. This bug report would probably stay at the bottom of the backlog. They will put it at the bottom. Try to make your bug sound like something that is going to destroy the whole world if it's not fixed tomorrow. Say, I am performing a very important, critical mission with your application, and I click the button in order to get the picture of a cat, which I'm going to send to people who are sick right now, and without that picture of a cat, they're probably going to die tomorrow. So I'm clicking the button, I don't get the picture of the cat, Instead of I get some stack trace. And this stack trace immediately puts me in the situation of a heart attack. I cannot see a stack trace. It's something that I cannot tolerate. So the people expect a cat. I see the stack trace. We're in a huge trouble. And this trouble concerns so many people. So we need to immediately resolve this bug, preferably yesterday. Of course, I'm joking. I'm making this sound very dramatic. But something into this direction should be done by you. So make your bug sound like a story. Make your bug sound like something interesting, something dramatic, something catchy, something with a heart. So let people feel you, feel your pain. Let them be on your side. That will help you to get your bug fixed. Of course, it's a manipulation. We understand. This is not something that we can call a professional attitude to bug reporting. But I still say it's important. My experience tells me, and I deal with hundreds of bugs every day. I report many bugs. The bugs are coming to me, so I see the difference. And I wrote a blog post about this again a few years ago. So where I say, it's a wrong title, my mistake. So where I say exactly how you should behave when you report a bug. So let me quickly recap. First, stay cool. So be prepared for bugs to be ignored. People will ignore you. People will tell you that there's a duplicate, while it's not a duplicate. People will negatively react to your bug. They will say that we have no time to fix your bugs and just use the project or stop reporting bugs to us. Many things will happen. Stay cool, especially in open source. And the whole course is about open source. So this is the open source behavior. Stay cool, prepare for toxicity, prepare for negativity. It's totally all right. Exaggerate, I just explained you. Exaggerate, make your bug sound dramatic. Number 3, victimize yourself. Tell them that you're the victim here. So you're trying to use the software and there's a promise that the software will work and the promise is broken. So I'm the victim here. I expected your software to work as expected, but now you betrayed me. I'm gonna cry. So you are the victim and that they have to help you. They will feel like they're obliged to help. Push them. That's also a good strategy. Push them. Not just report the bug, but stay on the bug. Sometimes remind them that this bug is important for you. Post a message there. Of course, not immediately, not after the bug is reported, but maybe a few times you can remind them that there is a bug and the fix is necessary. You are waiting for the fix. It's important for you. If the team will see that you actually are waiting for the solution, that they will probably prioritize their work in order to make you happy. They need to prioritize. They need to decide where to put their resources. And they will make this decision either in your favor or in my favor. And if I am very pushy, if I am reminding them that I need this bug fix, then they of course will try to help me first. And you stay quiet. So then they may decide, okay, that person is not using our software anymore. They just reported the bug and walked away. That's it. But these guys, I mean me, this guy is very active. So we better fix the problem for him first and then for somebody else. Show effort. That's important. So show them that you're not just a stranger from nowhere who just spent 5 seconds to try their application, just saw the error, reported it, and walked away. Show them that you actually investigated the problem, that you actually tried to find out why the problem is there. So you try to use it from the different angles, you try to use it from different perspectives, this application. And then you found out that this is the result. So your bug report should look like a story where we can see that you did enough work in order to fix that on your side without our help. That will encourage us, that will motivate us to help you. Even if, for example, the bug is about the lack of clarity of the documentation. Remember the story. You open the class, the Java class, you try to understand what it's about. You don't know what it's about, you cannot understand, so you decide it's a bug. So you go to the repository and you report it. One way to report it, you say, I opened the file. One way to report it, file A is not documented properly. That's one way. Another way, I see the file A. I understand that it does this, and that. I understand that it is connected with these and these classes. I understand that it was introduced because of these and that design decisions. However, I don't understand, first, why this method is there but it's not used. Second, why this and that. Third, why this and that. That will show the effort. That will show you that you actually did the investigation. Of course, I am more interested to answer the bug report of a second type, not of the first type, where you just say, I don't like the documentation, fix it. So your efforts or effort is very important. Look engaged. Look engaged means that you are in the project. So to explain in the bug report that I am with you. I'm not a stranger. I do use your library. I do use your framework. I need it for my application. I'm with you. I'm a member of the community. Somehow mention it. Somehow demonstrate to them that you appreciate their work. You can say in the beginning of the bug report, hey guys, I appreciate your library. I use it for the last 6 months and it actually helps me in my project. However, I see the problem. And then you explain what is the problem. That will definitely motivate people to answer you. All of that is to get an answer. And that's all we need. We need a response. Well, an answer and eventually a fix. And look altruistic. So look like you demonstrate to them that you are interested to help them for free. Maybe you can say, potentially I can help with the pull request, but I cannot because I don't have the skills. Sometimes I do that when I report a bug to some project which is written, for example, in Python, which I don't know. So I just say, I would love to help, but I'm not a Python developer, but I'm ready to help. If you tell me how, maybe you can give me some hints, or then I can potentially help, but not right now, because I'm not a Python developer. So demonstrate that you are ready to donate to the project. You're ready to donate your time. You're ready to invest your time. And aggregate, not. So I said it in the blog post that you need to aggregate and to put more troubles in the one report. But as we discussed before, this is not a good strategy. So here I mean aggregate, try to make your problem affecting other areas of the application. So instead of saying that this is a particular problem in this particular class, in that particular line of code, that's how you make your bug smaller. That's how you decrease the priority and severity of this bug report. That's how you make it less critical for the team. If you're saying the bug is in this specific function, or in this specific functionality, they just say, okay, whatever, it concerns only one guy, because only this guy uses this line. But instead say, there is a bug here, but it also affects this and that areas of functionality. I don't know exactly how, or I know how, but it does affect many areas. But keep in mind, don't put different bugs in the same bucket. Keep them separate. Okay? Recommendation 6. Simplify until it's impossible to simplify any further. I published a blog post and called it Occam's razor, which is a philosophical concept of simplifying things until you reach the point where it's impossible to cut anything else without losing the essence of the object. And here we're talking about the bug. So when you report something, you try to focus your problem report on as smaller technical domain, on the technical area as possible. And I can give you a practical example. Look at the report on the left. So let's say we are testing a calculator, and there is a report on the left. So this is the bug report, and I'm saying, here's my code, and then I show you the code, and then I say, it doesn't work as expected. It prints number 4, but it should print number 3. So look, 7 plus 5, this should be 12. 12 minus 3, it should be 9. 9 divided by 3, it should be 3. So we expect 3, but instead it prints 4. So what do? I report it. It's on the left. here. This is too complex for a bug report. So I didn't do my homework, I didn't do my effort to narrow down the problem. I can use my intuition here in order to find out where potentially may be the problem. Maybe the operator plus doesn't work, or maybe the minus doesn't work, or maybe the division, the dividing operator doesn't work. I don't know which one, but I can make an experiment and make the report smaller, like this. So I check similar code, but I tried a number of examples, I tried a number of formulas, and I found out that actually the problem is with the operator minus. And here I say 7, a minus 3, it should print number 4, but instead it prints 7. So the minus operator doesn't do anything. And it doesn't work here as well. Because minus 3 doesn't work, it prints number 4 here. So I did my own investigation before reporting. And this is so many people don't do right. So many people don't understand it. Well, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes, you have to work in order to do this simplification. For most people, this is the best way to report. Just say, I click the button, I don't see the cat, that's it, fix it. But in this case, you will end up with your bug report in a category where huge unclear bugs are staying. You're not helping the team to fix the bug in this case. You're not even helping the team to understand what the bug is about. But you have to. You have to help them and they will help you. So do your homework and narrow down the problem in this case. Try to basically not narrow down the problem, but try to fix the problem. Play with the application. Play with the code you have. Don't fix it because you may not know how to fix, but try to reproduce from the different angles, from the different, with the different input data, with the different scenarios, until you find out that this is the most simple, the simplest example of the code. I cannot make it any simpler. That's it. That's the simplest one, and it doesn't work, so I show it to you. The chances for fixing this bug are much higher than the chances that this bug will be fixed. And this is your objective. You want bigger chances for the bug to be fixed. How do you get bigger chances? You simplify. That's super important. I call it Occam's razor because that's what you do. You just cut the pieces. You just see, okay, this input, is it important for the bug? How about I remove it? For example, the application doesn't work when I upload the picture of a cat. And I'm expecting the application to turn this picture into a picture with smaller resolution. So I upload the picture of the cat, it gives me an error. So you report that. And then you try, wait a second, how about I upload an empty picture, just white rectangle? I upload this, it gives me an error. This will be a better bug report. Because a cat, it's an additional additional complexity for the situation. Because the person who will read this bug report will think, oh, it somehow is related to a cat picture. So I will need to investigate what's on the cat picture, what is drawn there. So maybe my application fails because of the cat. Maybe there are some different colors there. Maybe somehow related to the content of the picture. You're just making the bug larger. But you can make it smaller. You can say, I upload a picture which is 1 pixel size, 1 pixel by 1 pixel, and it's just white pixel, and the application crashes. Oh, that's a better report because it really simplifies the case, makes it more focused. Recommendation number 7. We have 9 in total. Be a prosecutor, not an advocate. So there is a philosophical separation of the roles in the bug reporting and bug fixing. In every bug, I believe, and you may argue with that, with this interpretation of the situation, but this is how I interpret it. It's kind of a battle. It's kind of a conflict, a work conflict between somebody who is reporting a bug and somebody who is supposed to fix the bug. The job of a bug reporter is to defend the attack, or just say to attack, to claim that the application is broken, to claim that the code doesn't work, to claim that the software is badly written. And this is your job as a bug reporter. Your job is not to make a compromise. Your job is to insist that the software is broken. And the job of a developer is to defend the software. The developer will say, no, it's not broken. Look, we have unit tests for that. Look, the quality is very high. Look, everything is clear here. You're saying that you can't understand how the class works. You're saying that the documentation is not clear enough. You're wrong. The documentation is perfect here. I can understand everything. I just read it. Sounds good for me. I have nothing to fix. And you have to say, no. I'm not going to accept that as an answer. I insist that you should improve it. For me, it's not clear. Convince them, make some debating with them. We discussed the debating on the previous lecture in a polite way, in a professional way, but insist. Stay on your position. I do not like how the software works here. It's imperfect. I'm not saying the entire application is broken. I'm not saying you guys are stupid. I'm not saying your team doesn't know what they do. Definitely not. I'm just saying that in this particular territory, in this particular area, in this particular place of the software, it can be done better. And I kindly and strongly encourage you to fix that. They will, of course, try to close your bug report and say, it's not going to be fixed. Just bye-bye. We're not going to fix that. Open another bug report and say, we had a discussion in that report. It was closed. I believe it was wrongly closed. So I have new arguments. I have new facts. I have new reasons to convince you that you're gonna improve. Reopen the bug report if it's possible. Sometimes it's possible to reopen it. And again, it doesn't mean that you are rude. It doesn't mean that you're aggressive. It means you're professionally persistent. You're professionally consistent in your thinking. You spend some time on finding the bug. You spend some time on investigating what is the problem. You spend some time on narrowing down this problem. Then you reported that. You make an interesting story. You explain everything. You put the pieces to reproduce the bug. And now they're telling you that that's a mistake. You don't see, you don't understand. It's not a bug. We're not going to fix it. Professionally insist. And don't go for a compromise. Usually they will try to, if that's a good team, if the team is not completely rude and toxic, because some teams may just close your ticket and close your bug report or completely ignore it, and that's it. No matter how hard is your effort, they may do that. It happens. But your job is to well, not your job, but let's hope that you deal with a professional team. And this professional team, they will try to advocate their position. They will try to get rid of your bug. They will try to convince you of the opposite. Stay in this debate for as long as possible. Stay in this fight and be persuasive as much as it's possible. Recommendation number 8. Don't give up until some changes are made to the code base. This is kind of a summary of what I said before. So the code base is everything that was created by the team. There are classes, unit tests, there are some documentation files, there are some design files, some maybe diagrams, all together, all the digital artifacts. And you're coming with the bug, you're coming with the imperfection claim. You're saying that I don't like certain parts of that. What usually people do, and very often people do, the people who respond to that, and by mistake, they just explain to you in the ticket, for example, how to use the application. For example, you're reporting a bug and you're saying, when I click the button, I don't see the picture of a cat being downloaded. I only see the picture of a dog. That's, I believe, a bug. A team which doesn't understand the mechanism of bug reporting, they may just answer you in the ticket. Hey, you just clicked the wrong button. So click the button twice. And if you click it twice, then you're going to download the picture of the dog. And you, if you don't understand bug reporting, you may say, oh yeah, really? I just clicked twice. Thank you very much. I closed the ticket. That's wrong. Because nothing was changed in the code base. Because exactly the same will happen in a few days. Another user will try to click the button, will download the cat, and will report the bug. And they will answer that report, this bug report, again. Hey, you just need to click it twice. And again, and again, and again. These bug reports, they will keep coming. So in order to stop that, you insist that they not answer you. They need to update the documentation. They need to improve the code base. They need to introduce a new diagram. They need to write a new unit test. Something needs to be done with the code base. Some new digital artifact has to show up. If it doesn't show up as a response to your bug report, don't close the bug report. Don't close the ticket. Stay in the ticket and say, please improve the code. Don't just make me happy. Improve the code base. That's what I came here for, to help the code base. Not to get my answer, not to get my question answered. I want my question to be answered through the fix of the code base. I want my functionality improved not only by changing the code, but also by introducing the unit test. So always demand the code base to grow in a response to your contribution as a bug reporter. That's the reasonable process. You report a bug, they grow the code base. You report another bug, they grow the code base even more. That's bug-driven development, which was mentioned by Mozilla team. Bug-driven development. Bugs are coming, code is growing. Not answers are growing. That's waste of time. That's waste of the time of the team. We don't answer. We're not a support team here. We are using these bug reports as a material for making our code better. As a material. That's the invaluable material provided to you by the user. So you use this material to improve the code base. So bottom line, don't close the bug until they fix something, until they introduce some digital artifacts. And final recommendation, and we're finishing. That's a suggestion for those who submit. That's like a summary. That's like a suggestion which will decrease the number of bugs being reported, but I believe will increase the speed of getting the fixes into the code base. So instead of reporting a bug, in some cases, or in most cases, in many cases, when we're talking about bugs related to functionality, when you work with the code, you call some method, let's say you debug or you use a library, or you may be inside the development team. So you're there, you are part of the development team, and you work with some piece of code. So you see that you cannot call this function because this function returns a broken result. So what do? Two options. The option number one, you go to the bug tracking system and you report there. Hey, I'm calling this function and it returns me the wrong number. Please fix that. That's one approach. Another approach, you just introduce a new unit test which proves that the function doesn't work. Consider an example. This is Rust code, who maybe some of you write Rust. So I use this language. Here is the report, which here's the function. Let's say function Fibonacci. And this Fibonacci function, when I pass number 23, it doesn't return me the number 28657. It returns me something else. So instead of reporting a bug in the bug tracking system, I just make a new unit test where I explain my steps. So remember how we started. In your bug report, you need to introduce you need to explain the steps to reproduce the bug. So instead of writing those steps in the code, in the text, you just write a code. You just write a unit test which does these steps and even shows the expected results and even confirms that this test doesn't work because of this ignore annotation or whatever it's called in macros. The macro, which in Rust makes the test being ignored. You introduce that and you submit a pull request with this. This pull request is not going to break anything. Why? Because you ignore it. And in addition to that, you put the to-do marker. You put the to-do suggesting that this unit test must be fixed, must be enabled in the future. And if you have a puzzle-driven development tool, which we use, and you can Google it, puzzle-driven development, if you have this tool configured, then it will automatically pick up this marker from the code base and create the ticket in the bug tracking system. And this ticket will be assigned to one of the programmers, and they will fix that bug and enable this test and remove this marker from the code base. So instead of going to the bug tracking system and reporting a bug, you just go to the code base, make a pull request with a unit test, which reproduces the bug and confirms that the bug is there and it must be fixed. So that's it. That's all I wanted to show you, to tell you. Maybe some of the recommendations may sound untraditional, but I believe all of them are worth at least considering. It's up to you how to understand bug tracking. There are tons of papers written about bugs prioritization, about bugs dispatching, triaging, about deciding who should resolve which bug. And now they use machine learning for that in order to understand what to do with this huge amount of bugs. If you want to see repositories on GitHub with really big amount of bugs, you can try Docker repository, or you can try GitLab repository. That's the repositories where I personally found tens of thousands of bugs, or maybe even hundreds of thousands of bugs. So there are many people use them and they report bugs. You can see how these maintainers of these repositories, how they deal with big numbers of bugs and how difficult is this task. So make this task easier through better reporting of the bugs. You're asking a question, let me answer it. Reporting a bug is a valuable contribution. Does it mean we can earn some points? They're talking about the students, they're talking about this course. Reporting bugs on the repositories you have provided. That's an interesting question. So far, no, the answer, but I think we can think about this because definitely bugs is a valuable contribution. I'm just thinking whether we will be able to reply to the bugs in time. Like I told you, every bug has a lifetime, and usually bugs, they live way longer than pull requests. When you submit a pull request, we can merge it in a few days or reject it. When you submit a bug, we can think about it for months. We can think about whether it's a valuable bug or maybe not, or maybe it's a duplicate, we don't know. So it may stay for longer and longer, and you're not gonna wait. You guys wanna finish this course in the next few weeks, and the bugs will stay for years. So that's why we're focused on pull requests. Let's focus on them. But it's good suggestion. You're thinking in the right direction. Bugs indeed are valuable contributions. In my opinion, as valuable as pull requests. Sometimes even more. When the repository is in the maintenance mode, when it's very stable, when the functionality is already fixed, then at that time bug reports are very important. Way more than pull requests. That's another question. Will people soon only create issues and ChatGPT will close them automatically? Well, definitely it's gonna happen. You can watch a conference speech actually in the Innopolis University I made last year, and it's called Robots versus Programmers. It's also in English, so find it on my YouTube channel by this title, where I say exactly what you just said. So I believe in the future, robots, they will create bugs and robots will fix bugs. And that will be the mechanism where programmers will only supervise them. The programmers will only be involved sometimes, but the majority of bugs, the majority of pull requests, the responses to the bugs will be created by AI, definitely.